An unknown scary creature in Portsmouth. Whatever it was so big and so scary, a Fall River couple thought they were going to die.
Saw something weird. Look at it. How weird is that?
It's an alien-like creature. It went viral on social media, so we sent our Homa Bash to find out more about it. Homa, what the heck is this thing?
This very strange-looking creature.
I've stumbled upon.
The Amazon is a vast and untamed wilderness spanning most of Brazil and extending into 8 other South American countries. Covering 6.7 million square miles, it is home to at least 10% of the world's wildlife species, and many more remain undiscovered. On average, a new species is identified there every other day, showcasing the Amazon's extraordinary biodiversity. Stay with us as we explore 20 terrifying creatures of the Amazon caught on camera. Number 20. The Harpy Eagle. This is one fierce-looking bird. Its extraordinary hooked beak and mad hairdo make this big eagle look a bit like a cross between an owl and an eagle. The Harpy Eagle is named after the Harpies of Greek mythology, a half-human, half-bird monster that is the personification of destructive storm winds. Now, if I were a harpy eagle, I would feel a little peeved about that comparison. Mythical harpies are generally considered ugly and were believed to have made the most horrific noises, so to call someone, even a bird, a harpy is, well, rude. And you wouldn't want to upset one of these massive birds. The bird is known to be the heaviest and strongest of all birds of prey, featuring speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. Harpy eagles have a grip so powerful that they can literally crush their prey to death with the squeeze of their talons. Ouch. The preferred meal of this colossal bird includes some pretty big animals, such as sloths, monkeys, deer, iguanas, and snakes. They snarf down part of their weighty meal before dragging the remaining carcass back to their nest for later. Yum. Number 19. Giant leech. Now, try not to have too many nightmares about this one. These are some of the biggest, ugliest bloodsuckers on planet Earth. The Amazonian leech is the same one you may have likely seen in any movie where someone gets in the water somewhere in South America and then emerges with their back and skin covered in black slugs. This freshwater leech can grow up to a disconcertingly large 17.72 inches long and be a chubby 3.93 inches wide. The giant Amazonian leech can be found from the mouth of the Amazon River all the way to Venezuela and the Guianas, where they mostly hang out in the marshland of the coastal wetlands. They live underwater for the most part on rocks and other debris as they digest their tasty blood dinners. Between the 1890s and the 1970s, people believed this species was extinct, but then they collected 2 adult specimens in French Guiana, from which lots of icky little baby leeches were produced. In fact, one of them was named Grandma Moses, and she produced no fewer than 750 babies while providing many years' worth of valuable research material to the scientists at UC Berkeley. They mourned her passing when she eventually died and placed her remains in the National Worm Collection, the highest honor available to a parasitic worm, no doubt. Number 18. The giant peacock base in the Amazon. Here we have some footage by a fisherman who has headed out on an intrepid journey to the Amazon River in Brazil. His only hope for the trip was to catch a big old peacock base. Here he's doing just that. Marvelous. Good for this guy. Everything is awesome. The peacock bass is highly prized by gaming fishermen in general because of its pretty colors and interesting patterns. They are often stripy or spotted and kind of multicolored. These fish often have a spot on their tail that looks a bit like a peacock. They're native to the Amazon and Orinoco river basins and other rivers in South America. Butterfly peacock bass were legally introduced to the coastal southeast of Florida in 1984 in an attempt to reduce the numbers of undesirable invasive species of fish that were affecting the delicate balance of the ecosystem in the region. These bass thrived in that environment and have done their job by reducing the number of naughty fish that have set up shop exactly where they shouldn't be. Number 17. Green iguana in the Peruvian Amazon. Iguanas are among the biggest of the lizards. These are green tree iguanas, and they live in neotropical rainforests, especially in Peru. They can grow very large indeed, even up to 6 feet on occasion, although a large part of that length is the tail. Iguanas are unlikely to cause much of a commotion since they're pretty sleepy and lazy animals, preferring to spend the day lying on the branches of trees or on the riverbank basking in the sun. If they are threatened, they're going to jump into the water. Surprisingly, though, they're really good swimmers and can stay underwater for several minutes at a time. They generally move slowly but are able to move very fast if necessary. As juveniles, iguanas have a diet mostly based on insects, but as they develop, they eat more fruit and leaves. The young iguana is also very bright green in color, but the older they get, the more gray their green hue becomes. Number 16. Amazonian red-tailed catfish. Next up, we have a bit of footage from the television series River Monster. In this clip, we see a guy named Jeremy catching a big red-tailed catfish. These fish are known for their brightly colored tails and fins, which make them a distinctive catch. The fish isn't exactly thrilled to be manhandled in this way, I'm sure, but Jeremy shows us up close all the different features of this great big fish, including the inside of its wide mouth. Lucky us, the name of the fish in Venezuelan Spanish is ciro. In Brazil, it's called the pirarara, and in Guyana, it's called the banana catfish. These fish can be found in aquariums, usually having been sold when they're juveniles and only measure a couple of inches long. But they do have a tendency to grow much larger than that and will become absolutely massive as adults. This isn't always made clear to people who purchase a miniature one while it's still very young. As a result, this is another type of catfish that has become an invasive species in many places around the world. Now it's time for today's topic. A tranquil sightseeing tour through the Amazon River turned into an unforgettable encounter that left a group of tourists in awe and terror. As their small boats navigated the serene waters, admiring the lush greenery and vibrant wildlife, the peaceful atmosphere was shattered when the river began to ripple unnaturally. The guides, initially dismissing it as a large fish or caiman, soon realized something extraordinary was unfolding. Without warning, a massive creature erupted from the murky depths, sending waves crashing against the boats. The beast, resembling a prehistoric predator, had a body large enough to dwarf the small craft. With lightning speed, it snatched a fish nearly the size of a grown man with its enormous jaws and disappeared back into the water, leaving a whirlpool in its wake. The stunned tourists could only gasp as they tried to process what they had just witnessed. Some described it as a giant anaconda-like creature, while others claimed it resembled a prehistoric reptile, perhaps a surviving member of a species thought long extinct. The guides, seasoned experts of the Amazon, admitted they had never seen anything like it. While the group returned safely, the encounter sparked widespread speculation. Could this be an undiscovered species, or was it a remnant of the ancient creatures that once roamed these lands? Whatever it was, the Amazon had once again proven that its mysteries run as deep as its waters. Number 15. Black jaguar swimming in the Amazon. This is a remarkable piece of footage capturing a super-rare black jaguar swimming across the Amazon River. There are believed to be fewer than 600 of these incredible animals left in the wild, and they are listed as nearly threatened on the red list for all the usual human-caused reasons, which include habitat loss and hunting. The muscular and powerful jaguar can grow to be about 6 feet long and is only slightly smaller than the biggest of the big cats, that being tigers and lions. As the jaguar stalks the land in Central America, some of their prey can be fairly hefty and dangerous themselves. Taking on a giant caiman, these guys often do, and they win, which is kind of awesome. They have huge heads and extraordinarily powerful jaws, complete with a set of dangerously pointy teeth. The jaguar is quite fast, has excellent climbing skills, and loves to swim. They are stealthy hunters and will generally stalk prey silently before landing one decisive attacking blow. Oh, and they also have one insane death-making move as well, those powerful jaws which they use to bite into the skull of large prey, sinking their teeth into the victim's brain and making it, instantly brain dead. Number 14. The huge white manta ray. Before you go getting all judgy, these manta rays are not the same as stingrays. They do look similar, but where the stingray has, a sting in its long tail, the manta ray does not. Sure, it has a long whip-like tail that looks a lot like a deadly stinger, but the manta ray is another one of our ocean's gentle giants, so that's a relief when you see the size of them. Growing up to an impressive 29 feet across, the manta ray is among the world's more vulnerable species. These highly intelligent creatures live along coastlines where there are coral reefs. As you know, these reefs are endangered by pollution and bad fishing practices, which has put these mighty sea creatures in danger as well. Like some of the other mega monsters on our list, the manta ray feeds by filtering water for plankton and krill. However, they are more agile than some of the big whales we've looked at. These guys really do a whole load of somersaults to feed in one place where they find a bunch of krill to eat, spinning and turning in order to get the most out of one spot. They churn up the water to make a kind of whirlpool that traps the food in the spiral, making it much easier to catch. Such clever critters. Number 13. Elephant beetle. Elephant beetles are quite large indeed. They can be found in the rainforest of Costa Rica, the place with the most biodiversity on the planet. The elephant beetle can grow roughly 12 centimeters in length, and they are actually the neotropical version of the rhinoceros beetle, one of the strongest creatures by size in the whole world. These particular beetles are black but are also covered with a coat of yellow hairs. This is what gives the elephant beetle its distinctive yellowish hue. The males of the species also have 3 horns, 2 that stick out of their heads and another which pokes out from the prothorax. This long one is responsible for the beetle's common name, since it resembles something like an elephant's trunk. They'll use this horn to compete with other males for mates and food, and it can also help them dig in the earth when needed. Elephant beetles eat a diet consisting of tree sap and fallen ripe fruits. They're mostly active at night, but their numbers have been decreasing on account of the usual habitat destruction problem. This has reduced their mating as they have fewer and fewer places left to have that special cuddle. There's also a major problem in that the head of the elephant beetle is used as a lucky charm. These unfortunate creatures are often killed and then decorated with gold to be worn as jewelry. Number 12. Black piranha. Piranhas have such a terrifying reputation that they are among the most feared predators in the Amazon rainforest. But although they are definitely not the best swimming companions, these fish generally are not out there gnawing on humans all over the place. They mostly eat fish, insects, crustaceans, and even seeds and algae, which sounds almost vegetarian. But don't get too comfortable. If they are hungry and food is scarce, the red-bellied piranha is more than happy to get together with a gang of other piranhas and cause a whole lot of mayhem. Group attacks, although rare, do happen, and they're absolutely not picky eaters in these situations. They will attack and kill literally anything that moves, and their reputation for stripping the flesh from a large animal or even a person in a matter of moments is very well justified. That's why they have those razor-sharp, pointy teeth after all. Although there are actually very few reported cases of piranha attacks on humans, they can and likely will have a go at humans during the dry season when food is hard to come by. So, maybe think twice before you dip a toe in that water. It may be quick, but it would be a painful way to go as well. Number 11. Bushmaster snake. Next up, we're looking at a snake that's basically one of the most deadly on the entire planet. This is the Bushmaster snake. It is a striking species that is so very fast and injects so much venom it can kill almost anything with only its bite. How utterly charming. This snake is a type of pit viper and has the highest mortality rate for its bite in the world, even with treatment. Its venom attacks the nervous system and can cause excruciating pain, paralysis, and eventually death if not treated promptly. Despite their lethal capabilities, Bushmasters are relatively shy and prefer to remain hidden in dense vegetation. Their camouflage is so effective that many humans encounter them purely by accident, often with disastrous consequences. They have been nicknamed the mute rattle because of their habit of shaking their tails silently in leaf litter as a warning, rather than using a loud sound. It's also a super sneaky kind of snake. It won't necessarily seek out a confrontation, but if it's startled, well, it'll probably bite you. The Bushmaster snake hunts at night and uses the heat-sensing pits in its nose to seek out its prey. These snakes will lie in wait for their prey, often along the pathways in the forest that are trodden by mammals. They can wait for weeks on end for the right meal to come along. They can grow up to about 12 feet long and weigh anywhere around 11 pounds, which makes them the biggest venomous snakes in the Western Hemisphere. They can be found across the northwest parts of South America in Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Brazil. Number 10. Vampire fish. One look at these fish, and it is no surprise that they are called vampire fish. There's no missing those gnashes. This large freshwater fish has many aliases: Pyara, dogtooth tetra, wolf fish, and, of course, Dracula fish. Being a toothsome creature, the most prominent feature of this fish is its large fangs and spiky, jagged teeth. Those fangs measure 5 to 6 inches long, and they are as fearsome as the name would imply. These fangs are incredibly strong, ripping prey apart with one bite. They use their fangs to stab their victim and hold them still so they can eat them. Vampire fish are not only equipped with all the dangerous gear, but these monsters are also super aggressive. They hunt constantly and literally live to eat, insatiable just like a vampire. With no known predators, the vampire fish is able to go about its business of incessantly hunting prey, drinking the blood of other fish, and indulging in the occasional spot of cannibalism. It's no wonder that many fish, including the scary old piranha, no less, are really frightened of the vampire fish and will turn away and hide if they see one nearby. Number 9. Giant anaconda in the Amazon rainforest. Here we have a sighting of a monster snake. Apparently they just captured it in the Amazon jungle and nobody can believe it. Another contender in the world's largest snake competition, the green anaconda, is the reptile that takes the biscuit. This colossal creature is officially known as the largest of all snakes. They may just be the largest at around 440 pounds and between 26 and 30 feet in length. They are certainly huge. These creepers are found all over the watery regions of South America, and they spend most of their lives in the depths. In fact, their size and weight make anacondas kind of slow and cumbersome on land, but as soon as they hit the water, these snakes find themselves right at home and move with grace, albeit the deadly and terrifying kind. These nocturnal predators are found in and around swamps, and they also love to coil themselves around tree branches that hang close to the water by the riverbank. This is a prime spot to ambush their prey since they need the element of surprise when attacking. The way an anaconda kills is to wrap itself in a bone-crushing grip around its victim and squeeze until the poor creature is done for. Most animals won't wait around long enough to allow this to happen if they get the chance to escape first. So, that surprise is what keeps these gargantuan serpents in dinners. Number 8. Giant electric eel. This has to be one of the absolute coolest and also weirdest fish out there. The electric eel can actually generate its own electricity, and they are sinister looking as well, aren't they? They hide in the dark and gloomy waters, using a weird electrical radar system to find their way around. These are no tiddlers either. The electric eel grows to an average of 6 feet but can get much larger. Their electric shocks can deliver up to 600 volts, which is strong enough to incapacitate even large predators. Interestingly, they have specialized organs that make up 80% of their bodies, allowing them to generate electricity in bursts. These shocks not only stun prey but are also used as a communication method between eels. Incredibly, they can even leap out of the water to deliver shocks to threats above the surface. These creeps live in freshwater environments and are famous for their bizarre and dangerous ability to produce a high-voltage shock that they use to stun their prey or defend themselves from predators. Their electrical stun effect can take out prey of considerable size, and although it is not enough to kill a human, the trouble is it can knock you out, and then you might easily drown. That electric charge is enough to sting, and repeated shocks could actually cause cardiac arrest. They're mostly found in the Amazon and Orinoco River areas in South America, and I should imagine also in Bonvillain secret layers as well. Number 7. The biggest arapaima. Placed firmly among the largest of freshwater fish in the world, the arapaima is native to the Amazon and other basins in South America. These gigantic fishes frequently grow to about 9 feet in length and can get even bigger than that. Their numbers have declined in recent decades as a result of overfishing and the modern problem of habitat loss. Arapaima fish have a distinctly pouty old fish face, a long body, and a massive tail. Though they generally live in the river itself, during the wet season they are dispersed all over the place as the rivers overflow into the surrounding forest. This is usually an issue for most fish. The decaying vegetation makes oxygen levels in the water too low to sustain them, but the arapaima can breathe air. In fact, it has a swim bladder modification that allows it to act as a lung, meaning this fish can even survive outside of water for as long as 24 hours. It may be the largest of all the world's freshwater fish, reaching up to 10 feet and 440 pounds. They get to this size by eating a whole lot, and they have a weird way of doing it. When they open their big old mouths, they create a kind of vacuum that sucks in anything nearby, and then they use their nasty pointy teeth to shred their victim. Number 6. The Amazon River Dolphin. The largest and most clever of all freshwater dolphins, the Amazon pink river dolphin, can change its color and even blush just like a human. These dolphins are actually born gray like most others of their species, but they slowly turn pink as they grow up, kind of the opposite of humans who start off one color and then often go gray as they get older. These creatures can grow up to about 9 feet, weigh around 400 pounds, and often live as long as 30 years. The males of this species are a stronger pink color than the female counterparts. What exactly causes this is still being figured out, but it's believed to have something to do with external factors like their diet and interactions. Fighting, which causes scar tissue, may also affect their overall coloration. Much like other dolphins, their intelligence makes them particularly appealing to humans looking for wildlife interactions with social creatures. But like other dolphins, their intelligence and ability to work together through communication with one another should give any other creature a second's pause, even us humans. If there were ever a candidate for plotting world domination, it would be these guys. They may be smiling, but these animals have a lot more going on in their noggin than we want to give them credit for. Number 5. Giant armadillo. With a name that means little armored one in Spanish, the armadillo sounds kinda cute, but is it really? Actually, it's super weird looking. These animals have hairy bellies and sides, bald heads, and a shell of armor. There are about 20 different armadillo species in the Americas, most of which are in Central and South America, although the 9-banded armadillo is actually native to the United States of America. Armadillos tend to live in wetlands where there's shade and sandy soil for them to dig for their food. Giant armadillos, in particular, are nocturnal and elusive, making them incredibly difficult to spot in the wild. They can grow up to 5 feet long, including their tail, and weigh as much as 80 pounds, making them the largest of all armadillo species. Despite their heavy armor, they are surprisingly good diggers, using their massive claws to excavate burrows or unearth insects. Their diet consists mainly of ants and termites, but they've also been known to eat small vertebrates and plant matter when food is scarce. They also burrow in grass, hollow logs, and even occasionally underground. This camera captured what it says to be a giant armadillo, but it's kind of difficult to tell a whole lot about the scale of the creature from this very short bit of trail cam footage. What species of armadillo might it be? Are you even an armadillo expert? Go ahead and speculate on the species in the comment section down below. I know you really want to now, don't you? Number 4. The giant Amazon otter. Although the name implies that this is some bloated sort of sci-fi version of the cute, furry otter, they are in fact only usually between 3 and 1/4 feet long and 4 and 1/2 feet long. So not exactly gigantic, but bigger than other species. They're also not especially heavy, generally weighing between 49 and 71 pounds. They look kind of like a long and sleek creature rather than enormous and intimidating, which is a relief really, because these creatures, for all of their inherent cuteness, are carnivorous and completely ravenous. Giant otters spend most of their time hanging around in the water, snarfing down fish. These animals are really hungry and can put away between 6 and 9 pounds of food each and every day. Although they mostly eat fish, these rapacious diners will not turn down a dinner that includes a small anaconda, a caiman, a crustacean, or any other sea dweller. With their extraordinary eyesight and whiskers that detect the movement of prey in the water, giant otters are extremely efficient hunters. They may look cute, but they're also rather ruthless. Number 3. Gigantic new snake species. Next up, we have a really big snake, quite possibly the biggest in the whole wide world. The green anaconda is famous for being the largest species of snake, but when scientists from the Australian University of Queensland went to the Amazon and Ecuador to study them in 2023, they were surprised to discover what they think may be a brand new, previously undocumented species of snake that is even bigger. This is the northern green anaconda, and it was reported by some people who live in this part of the Amazon. They say that these snakes were the biggest that had ever been seen, and it turned out that they were not wrong about that. The experts studying the snakes discovered that the northern green anaconda had diverged from its southern green anaconda relatives about 10 million years ago and was genetically different by about 52%. This is a large difference when you consider that the difference between humans and chimpanzees is only 2%. The green anaconda is still the biggest, but it is the northern one that takes the top prize. The largest that has ever been officially recorded was about 500 pounds, 27.7 feet long, and 3.6 feet wide. But who really knows? Maybe there are even bigger ones still out there. Number 2. Giant anteater. So, how can a toothless, short-sighted animal with bad hearing be any kind of deadly threat, you may ask? Well, except to ants, obviously, the clue is in the name. So let's find out. Giant anteaters live in Central and South America, mostly just minding their own business of poking their noses into ants' business. Usually, they will avoid humans altogether, but they do have a couple of defense mechanisms that they bring into play if they feel threatened. The giant anteater can grow up to 7 feet long, and they have their famously characteristic long nose, of course. Their elongated snouts house a sticky tongue that can extend up to 2 feet, allowing them to consume up to 35,000 ants and termites in a single day. Despite their somewhat comical appearance, their size and strength make them a formidable presence in their habitat. They've even been known to defend themselves successfully against jaguars and pumas, 2 of the most dangerous predators in the region. With their shaggy fur providing camouflage and protection against insect bites, they're perfectly adapted for survival in their environment. But they're also in possession of 4 super sharp claws on each of their front feet. These are mainly for digging into termite mounds and anthills, but it turns out that they can also be used as weapons. When an anteater stands up on its rear legs, it will use its tail to steady itself much like a tripod, hold out its arms, and it's not asking for a hug. That anteater is ready for a punch-up, and those claws can actually kill a human. So, as friendly as these animals may look, and as many huggy anteater memes as there may be, this giant anteater is actually a deadly thing. Number 1. Monster sockeye salmon. Sockeye salmon, or red salmon, are generally found in the northern Pacific Ocean. However, they actually stay in freshwater until they're juveniles and will only migrate to the ocean when they are mature. This is how a salmon like the one this guy has caught has ended up in a South American river. These fish are remarkable navigators, using a combination of Earth's magnetic fields and their incredible sense of smell to find their way back to their spawning grounds. Along the way, they undergo physical changes, including turning a vibrant red color and developing hooked jaws. Despite their tough journey, they remain a crucial food source for many predators, from bears to birds of prey. Interestingly, their migration plays an essential role in nutrient cycling, as their decomposing bodies enrich freshwater ecosystems. There are, however, some populations of sockeye salmon that seem to favor freshwater so much that they stay there for their entire lives. These fish are called kokanee. They may be a different species from the seafaring salmon, but the jury is still out on that one. Sockeye salmon are red when they're spawning. They're a very distinctive color. They can be found as far south as the Columbia River, and some have even been seen in the north of an island in Japan. They can travel enormous distances and are known to migrate over 1,000 miles. Well, that wraps up our adventure in the Amazon jungle for today. We certainly had quite the journey, didn't we? Which of these so-called terrifying creatures gave you the biggest fright, and which ones fascinated you the most? As always, I'd love to hear all your amazing thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to check out the other cool content popping up on the screen, and I'll catch you next time.